Welcome to Disruptive Successor, a show for next generation leaders in family businesses and entrepreneurs who want to disrupt the status quo and take their existing business to a whole new level. We all know that what got us here isn't going to get us there. This show will provide inspiration, advice, and resources to help you create massive impact. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at thegoldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session. Hi, it's Jonathan Goldhill, and welcome back to another episode of the Disruptive Successor Show. Today's guest is Simon Severino, who helps business owners in SaaS and services companies run their company more effectively, which results in sales that soar. Trusted by Google, Roche, Consilience Ventures, Amgen, AbbVie, he's created the strategy sprints method that doubles revenue in 90 days by getting owners out of the weeds. Simon is a TEDx speaker, contributor to Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine, member of the Silicon Valley Blockchain Society, and he has a company called Strategy Sprints, again, that helps entrepreneurs reach financial freedom. Simon, welcome to the show today.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you for having me.
So we were just talking about some of the books on my bookshelf behind me, and you were talking about scaling up Gazelles, EOS, Traction. You're familiar with both of them. And so you were telling me that most of your coaches that get certified in strategy sprints come out of these two ecosystems or organizations, if you will. So we're going to get into that because there probably are maybe some other coaches that listen to my show, but mostly this is about small and family-owned businesses. Many of them are familiar with these tools because I use them in my coaching practice. But tell us a little bit about your background and how you became a consultant in business, and maybe how these two other organizations weave into what you do.
Yes, so 21 years ago, I did fall in love with something. And that thing was the go-to-market question, because was working with teams and we discussed multiple things, the culture and keeping people. And then they say, how can I beat my competitors? And when I had that topic, the energy in the room was different. People were totally alert. And there was no answer. So this one big question: how can we get a little bit better than our competitor in the product, or in how we deliver it, or in the experience? And we had no answer. And so I like an intellectual challenge that was intellectually stimulating, because there is no answer. So I have to find an answer. I was under pressure. Now, hey, consultant, find an answer. And they were totally, totally committed to it. If on Thursday I would say, hey guys, we're not moving towards the answer. I'm sorry. We need maybe until Monday. Can we stay longer in this location? And they were like, of course, Simon. The whole executive team will stay here until we have an answer. And I was like, wow, that's how relevant this is for them. It's vital. And they were like, yeah, of course it's vital. If we don't have a go-to-market plan and an execution plan, everything else will not fall into place, right? So that's vital. And I said to myself, wow, can I do this the next 15 years every day? I love this. And I was getting paid well because it was so relevant for them. And I was proud when we had results. So I did fall in love with this topic. Let me be a go-to-market advisor every day for the next 15 years. Now, fast forward
Right.
21 years later, I'm still doing this every day.
Yeah, I understand. I think I started my coaching practice in 2004, so it's 18 years, and I was a small business consultant for 13 years before that, 10 with a firm. And I was looking back on some slides for a talk. I did a master class just on a couple days ago, and I was looking back on slides. I think it was called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective CEOs.
Mm.
And I
Oh, yeah.
thought, I'm teaching the same stuff. I've just gotten better at it. But the message
Exactly.
hasn't changed. It's pretty amazing. So
Yes. The good stuff is evergreen.
exactly.
Totally. I just started yoga
Mm.
just because I'm getting older, I need to become
Yeah.
become movable
Yep.
again, right?
Yep.
And so I start stretching, find a yoga teacher. Yoga teacher says, yeah, do the primary series. I say, oh,
Mhm.
primary series. Okay, let me do this. And after that, I realize, wow, that's how the body is supposed to work. And I asked the teacher, okay, this simple sequence, did you invent it? He says, Simon, it's 6,000 years that people do this.
Right.
Just
I've
this series.
it's 108, I think, asanas, and I've been practicing for 25 or 30 years now. Yoga is like so old. It reminds me of like
So
one of my coaches said, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, everything goes back to, and I can't remember some Greek, person he talked about,
Parmenides, probably, yes.
right? So pretty
Totally.
funny. Yeah,
Totally. And so, yes, the good things are evergreen, they're proven, and that's what I like. Yes, and the strategy sprints method was my way of creating a primary series, of creating something that
interesting.
is the core, simple, evergreen thing that helps digital B2B businesses. Because
Right,
that's what I run. I run a
right.
B2B high ticket digital agency, if you want, a consulting agency.
Hmm.
So I understand the complexity of somebody who starts that, founds that, and then becomes the bottleneck and wants to scale it um, across the globe, because that's when it starts being fun.
Right,
So that's the complexity that I had to solve. And I had to put together my 108 asanas to get there.
right,
And so after doing it, I'm now sharing them with the world in form of a book and in form of a certification.
right. And so we're going to talk today a little bit about an audience that you don't address that often, but I'm guessing that disruptive successors in family businesses, they have a lot in common with people who are running any other kind of business, SaaS business, technology, software, whatever. Um, so, what's one piece of advice you would give successors and family businesses if they really want to be a disruptive successor? Um, which means basically, they can't use what got them here to get them there.
So when we say disruptive successors, then the first thing that I think about is, okay, disrupting means understanding what's going on and being a little bit better prepared
Yep.
and slightly better than the others in delivering it.
Or dramatically
So,
better,
or
potentially.
dramatically,
Right? It could be a business.
then
I mean, they could do a whole scale change in the business model, but usually it's an incremental improvement rather than a dramatic improvement.
let's start with incremental, because I think we are at the beginning of a recession for most people listening.
Yep.
Let's be happy with just incrementing by 1% every day next year.
Right.
If I had to do that with a business, then two things to think about. First is, how can you simplify the activities,
Mm-hmm.
because people are stressed enough right now.
Yep.
How can we calm down, focus the team? What I like to do is reminding people that actually you just need one process at a time and one project. So when I say that, people go, are you nuts, Simon? We're running 25 projects. I know let's do an experiment. Let's say you have just one process right now, and the process is made of 6 pieces. The basic value creation of your business. Let's call it awareness, interest, engagement, closing, delivering, retaining. Let's say your business is made of these 6 pieces, which usually businesses are made of these 6 pieces. So you create interest, you move to engagement, then you say, okay, how many of you want to get serious? And then you promise something, you deliver, you hopefully slightly over-deliver so that you can also retain them longer. So that's value creation in a nutshell. These 6 pieces I call a process. And my whole method is just around this simple process. It's like the primary series. It's just 6 pieces. It's not so complicated. Your business is not so complicated as you think. And your body is not so complicated as you think. So that's the core. On top of that, now we will map it out with you on one page so that it's simple. We see it, we understand it. The first question is, all right, how do I pick the one thing that fits into this? Because now we want one activity each, the winning activity. So of all the activities that create awareness, hey, here I am, which one is working best right now? It might be YouTube, it might be LinkedIn, it might be a conference. We pick that thing. And so in each category, we pick the winner. Now you have reduced the number of activities everywhere, in marketing, in sales, and in operations. The team calms a little bit down. Now we improve those. For the next 90 days, we will only have one project at a time. And that one project improves one transition, one conversion from that to that. So let's say you have a building business, and the way you create awareness is on LinkedIn. So we will look at your LinkedIn content creation and discussion generation. We'll find the piece that works. Maybe it's a weekly newsletter. Maybe it's asking questions about building. Hey, people, what about the rising interest rates? Oh, have you seen lumber? So something that starts a conversation, generates a conversation on LinkedIn would be the awareness piece. And then the next piece is, okay, how many people go from aware to interested? So interested can be how many people comment or how many people comment a specific word. For example, I say, oh, have you seen the lumber prices? Oh, by the way, I have a checklist how you can reduce your lumber costs even during this crazy supply chain time. Do you want the checklist? And if they download it, we count 1. So that piece, for example, the question is, okay, if now that conversion is 4%, how can we get it to 6%? That would be a project. So you see everything as a simple 6 elements process. And now you say, okay, which one is the weakest part, the bottleneck, that if I improve that, the whole general throughput gets a little bit better. This comes from a theory called theory of constraints. Yep. We don't have to go into the science of that. But basically it says, if you improve everything a little bit, you are spread too thin, you do not really move the overall throughput forward. But if you just remove the bottleneck, think of a traffic jam, right? And there is this one traffic jam point. If you just really improve that, then all cars can flow again.
Sure.
That's the bottleneck theory. So in these 6 pieces, you just improve the one thing that is most relevant improving right now. So you are running one project. Let's say you have 5 people. They are all concentrating on doing this one thing. But Simon, one of them is in marketing, one of them is in sales, one of them is in operations. Yeah, but they have one goal for this week.
So let me make sure I understand this. So the one process, the one project, are those the same thing? The project and the process?
No, the process is this evergreen, stages. The 6 pieces.
Right.
And a project is now to say, okay, for this amount, for the next 7 days, we improve this part.
Gotcha.
One part. Okay. One conversion from one piece to the other.
Right. So it's not a 90-day, it's a shorter sprint. 7.
We go for 7 because with a sprint coach, you can do it in 7 because the sprint coach has 274 blueprints ready, so they can be faster. If you do it on your own, pick something like 14 days, 21 days, something that you feel is achievable with your means, with your resources. But the important thing is that the whole team focuses on that one thing
Right.
at a time.
So you
Instead of
don't like
doing
the
so many
idea
things.
of telling the systems or the operation folks, hey, you focus on that process and that project, delivery, whatever. The salespeople, you focus on this one, which is like attention, interest, engagement, closing. You don't like the idea that there's different groups focusing on different things. You're saying everyone should focus on one process, one project. Like, so even you've got the operations production people focusing on how do we create more engagement in, for instance, the LinkedIn marketing. Yeah.
They own, so salespeople own sales, marketing owns
Correct.
marketing, ops owns ops. That's fine.
Right.
And somebody has to manage this whole thing.
Of course.
Management means improving form, fit, and function of each piece. But now for this project, they all contribute to solving one thing on top of that. So they do their normal operations, does operation.
Right.
But for this week, operation is
They're going
helping
to focus
solve
on
that.
Right.
From their perspective, they say, guys, from my perspective, I think this can work. And so they solve it jointly for that week.
And do you envision, so I use I mentioned to you Bloom Growth, formerly Traction Tools. They're a sponsor of the show. I use them to help people get into weekly departmental and leadership team meetings. Would you, for instance, recommend that a project be given a title, and that the whole group meets around that project for an hour or an hour and a half once a week to then dissect? They're not going to do a daily check-in or a huddle around this, correct? Is that what your thinking is?
Meeting cadence is a great thing to have. So we have Monday meetings, we have Thursday meetings, and we have Friday meetings as also a form of meeting cadence. And on Monday is about setting the direction. Okay,
right.
Which project do we pick? On Thursday, we call it the analytics meeting. Let's measure the all six pieces, and let's measure the progress. On Friday, we learn from that. On Friday, we go over the sprint dashboard. Sprint dashboard is 3 goals, 3 numbers. 1 marketing number, 1 sales number, 1 operations number that measures that whole chain. But we pick only the most relevant one because we want to know, are we moving in the right direction at the right pace? That's what we want to know. And we don't want to spend our life measuring stuff just for measuring. So we say, okay, which one number in marketing tells me that marketing is working?
Right.
Which one number in sales tells me that sales is working? That's pretty obvious. And then in operations, which one number tells me that operations is working? That's not so obvious.
Not so obvious. I mean, lead generation, marketing, lead conversion, sales, operations, I don't know, throughput, number of units, hours, build against S. I mean, look, we could go in a lot of different directions here. Not so easy for a lot of people. They get stuck.
Client referrals, NPS. So more work that was generated by your current clients, how many introductions they made to other clients. NPS from 1 to 10, how likely is it that you would recommend us? Different things that we can come up that tell us, okay, it's working. Our clients are happy. And so when you pick those, then Friday is just dashboard day, 1 marketing number, 1 sales number, 1 ops number. And so there is a meeting cadence and there is a core, let's say, calmness in the team. And we are not running around like, oh, what's the next meeting? No, everybody's doing their stuff. And on top of that, they have one project together.
Interesting. So, when we were queuing up for the show, you mentioned that, or your team mentioned that you found that 3 CEO habits are the most effective habits. You've worked with clients all over the world. Are these the 3 habits, or is there something else there?
The 3 habits came about because now the problem is we don't really know what's going on. We cannot control supply chains. We cannot control material prices. And I came up with this 5 years ago, and now everybody goes like, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean, right? I cannot control anything out there. The markets, the prices, the materials, nothing, not even the suppliers." So 95% is not in our control. How can we manage at least the 5% that are in our control? So I was thinking, what is actually in my control when I run a business? And my answer to that is I can control my daily habit, weekly habit, monthly habit. My daily habit is I write down how did I allocate my time today?
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask myself, what will I delegate or automate tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
The weekly practice is, are we moving in the right direction at the right pace? So let's look at the main marketing number, main sales number, main ops number. This give me the weak signals, because stuff changes all the time, but I want to know early that something's happening, because if it's early, I can still manage it. If it's too late, I wasted time and money. Maybe it's irreversible. So I want to get the weak signals. So for example, Michelle, who runs the Thursday session in our team, she collects all those data. And then when we start, she says, it's all average. Just one thing is 0.2% in deviation. And then we just look at this deviation because the rest is average, nothing to look at. But there is a deviation. And in this deviation, we dive a little bit deeper and say, okay, Michelle, what can it be? Can it be a process, a person, a product? What is it? We want to learn from that. And maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's telling us, LinkedIn is changing the algorithm, I think, because look at this. Same behavior, different outcome. So let's look at it. Just to get the weak signals, because it's about time, and then we can manage it. If we have time to manage it, we can manage it. We can manage everything. But if we have enough time. And then the monthly habit, we call it sprint budgeting. We want to re-budget every month according to our competitive advantage. So we go to a couple questions. We say, in our main features, where are we winning against our competitors? Where are we losing against our competitors? Then we say, what else can the client do if they don't work with us, and not with our competitors, but just if they just do it on their own, what can they do? So they might have Peter, the intern, doing it, or they might just do nothing and accept the consequences. They might do having an internal person doing that. So we go through what else can the client do right now. Then we go through who are our top 3 competitors. Then we see what are the 2 features where we are winning, 2 features where we are losing. And we want to cut costs from the 2 features where we are losing, because otherwise we just get mediocre, and we don't invest in mediocre. So we cut 10%, 15% from the costs on the left where we're mediocre. And I say left because we have a tool that visualizes that.
I understand. I mean, I'm thinking about, go ahead. I'll tell you in a moment. Go ahead.
And then we reinvest it on the right side. And this is, you said at the beginning, incremental innovation. This is incremental improvement, continuous improvement. And we do it on the budgeting level. Now, our clients say this is sprint budgeting. I think this is just normal budgeting that everybody should do. Unfortunately, not everybody does it. But if you do that, now you are, let's say you're building houses, you have pre-built houses, you bring them and you put them on the territory of your clients, right? So there are 2 features where you are losing against others. For example, I don't know, it's the consulting that comes before. People like other people better. So why should you keep investing in consulting? Maybe you just let your competitor win the consulting part, and you are just the best at delivering the houses. I'm just making it up as an example, because then we would cut our investment month per month in becoming better at advising where to put the house or which materials to put. We just become the best one at delivering. Because if this month we are better at delivering, and next month we have 15% more attention, more resources than that, we're going to crush it. We will soon be the best deliverer. And that's a good positioning. And when you have a good positioning, you can command higher prices. When you have higher prices, you have a better cash flow. When you have a better cash flow, everything is better. You have more runway, right? You have a better situation. You can reinvest. You can go on holidays. You can do so much stuff. So that's why we do this monthly rebudgeting. So these are the 3 habits, because these 3 things are always in my control. Whatever the weather outside, bring me a pandemic, a recession, a stagflation, whatever you want, I can always check how I allocate my time and allocate it better tomorrow, and especially delegate, because that's important.
Yep.
Then I can always ask the question, are we moving in the right direction at the right pace, by checking my 3 top numbers. And I can always do a quick competitive analysis and reinvest in where we are winning. Nobody can take that from me. So I think this is what I want to focus on. So as a CEO, those 3 things became my habits.
It's great. I think that's really smart. You've combined daily execution habits, focusing on your vital few, delegating the trivial many away, getting into your zone of genius is a daily execution habit. And you've combined it on the far side with kind of a Michael Porter's 5 forces analysis, which you're probably familiar with, which is, because you said you're right and you're left. And I mean, looking at how to improve your position in your market so that you can make, if the industry's, no matter how attractive or unattractive the industry is for profitability, you can make your position in that market better. So I like it. That's great.
These are the 3 things in my control. So wherever I am, I try not to panic or not to be overly happy or overly sad. I just focus on the process. Again, by the way, a parallel to yoga, right? You just do your practice, everything is coming. Right. You just do your practice. So I just do my practice.
Yeah, you didn't realize when you got into yoga that it's not a religion, but it's a spiritual way of being in the world, and seeing that we're always just practicing and getting better. So
it's just, trust the process. It's all process.
Yeah.
I'm a systems guy. I trust processes.
All right. So you say you can double a business's revenue in 90 days. That's a rather bold claim. I am running, by the way, a similar campaign right now where I promise to double their business. Let me ask you, how do you do that? Is it using these techniques?
Maybe it's easier.
Yeah.
Maybe it's easier than it sounds than most people think right now, because actually there are a couple acupuncture points, and they are also quite proven over 100 years. So if you want to double revenue, the 3 easiest things to do. First, we have simplified the offer and the core value creation by, visualizing those 6 boxes. So everything gets now a little bit cleaned up, because automatically you will prioritize the winning parts in each. So we have that mapped out. Now it's just going through all the activities and focusing on the things that move 3 things forward. Increasing by 25% your conversion rate. That means same amount of conversations with people, but you close 25% more.
Right.
So no marketing needed, just better closing technique. Now, then there is, and that can be learned, and there are blueprints for that, and there are great processes for that. Then we want to increase by 25% the price that you can charge for the same thing.
Sure.
How do you do that? You do that by having a good delivery in the first place, and so good operations. Good operations create good client testimonials. Good client testimonials de-risk the decision for the new clients. And so you can command upfront, and you can command plus 25% without losing clients. So now that's the second 25% piece. And the third 25% piece is to increase the sales frequency.
Right.
To increase sales frequency, you can do 2 things. Either shortening the time from awareness to closing.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that with email series. We like creating educational series in emails because with email, you can do powerful stuff. It sounds like, oh, email. No, 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 no. Give me a moment, give me a chance. In email, you can create those very famous 12, 15 experiences with you in 12 days. You can have a video going to LinkedIn and the next going to YouTube, etc. Even when they relax, and they go, okay, now I'm stopped working. Let me relax. Let me get the iPad and look something fun. Even then, there might pop up a video from you. So you can create 12 valuable experiences with you in 12 days instead of having those long, you remember, 13-month sales cycles. You can shorten that up. That's one way. Another way is on the retainment side. So I know you're working with people, but how can you just increase the lifetime value by having something that solves an additional problem for them? So you know them already, you're working with them already, and you know also what they need, and you know what they're capable of. So it's easy also to create there another piece, which might be, a mastermind, something that is a retainment piece. These three things, if you increase them by 25%, and that's quite realistic that you can do that in 90 days.
Sure.
If you're a yoga teacher, you asanas are easy for you. If you're a sprint coach, improving these three things, that's your daily thing. It's no rocket science. So we identify these three things quickly. We help them get it done with blueprints, get done faster. And when we improve those three things by 25%, you have doubled revenue. This cumulates to plus 99% revenue.
Yeah. Well, it sounds easy, and I know it well because I've taught 5 ways to grow a business, and 3 of those 5 ways are the ones that you just talked about. One of the others was basically saying no to bad prospects, bad customers.
Always a good idea.
Getting rid of the dogs. So the other one is escaping me at the moment, but we have come from and probably studied similar tracks of knowledge or philosophies or coaching programs. And it's just interesting. You're all the way in Austria. I'm here in Los Angeles. And it's just interesting to see globally how thought leaders have created or let's say assembled, aggregated content that we've consumed 6,000 miles or whatever apart from each other, and there's so much similarity, and we both actually created our own spin on it. I think that yours is very interesting. I like the whole concept of strategy sprints. It certainly ties in with any company that's trying to be agile. These are words, sprints, agile are words very familiar to those in the software as a service space. So you have a brand new book, I understand, called Strategy Sprints, 12
Yes.
ways to accelerate growth for an agile business. And I'm sure we've talked about a few of those ways. Is there another way that you're really excited about that you'd like to share with people? Because I think what you're talking about is it's transferable to any business. It may not be as easy to measure in some of like software businesses. Is like you can get daily information because everything is digitized. It's not so easy maybe in manufacturing and construction. I think the sprints might be slowed down by a few things. One, the types of people, the types of customers that you're working with. 2, the employees and the habits and what they're used to working with. 3, the age being probably older, so they're not going to have an uptake. And 4, they're not going to do 12 videos because they don't have a camera. They don't know how to do that. I mean, I see how much I struggle with just that, and I'm in front of a camera all day long. But anyway, I digress. Tell us about another habit that you're really excited about that you'd like to share with our listeners.
Since I'm a father of 3, if I don't have a me time before everybody wakes up, No chance there will
Right.
be any me time.
Yeah.
So if you are somebody who has small kids and if you run a business also, one thing that I learned about me, I'm now 42, is that I have to take care of myself. There needs to be a me time, and there is no guilt and there is no shame when I take my time. And I start with it. So the first 2 hours of the day, it's me time, and I just enjoy it. I don't let guilt feelings creep into there. And if they come in, I say, go home. This is my time. So whatever is good for me, I do that in the first 2 hours. Now you might have other slots where you do that. But this is a habit that I have really came to appreciate is have me time. Do what you like to do. For example, last week I did an exercise with myself because my investments were doing quite well, and so I was seeing all these numbers, etc. And then I said, okay, and what do you do now with it, Simon? So you're scaling these businesses and you're creating wealth. So what do you do with? When will you enjoy it? How will you enjoy it this week? And I think that's an important question.
Yeah.
How will you enjoy all that wealth that you create? And so I made a mind map, and the things were so simple, just so simple and near, like swim 3 kilometers, play Lego with my kids, go to that city, eat in that restaurant. All super simple things, like buy a DJ set for home and just do music as if I was in Ibiza. Very simple things. It's $500 that we are
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I realized that it's so simple and it's so easily achievable. While we scale our businesses over the globe, etc. Yeah, okay, but enjoy it. Don't forget
Uh,
to enjoy it. Right? You can enjoy the now, not the later when you have scaled it over 14 countries. No, just right now. It's fun. It's
yeah.
fun. That's why we're doing it. It's the game. It's the process. Again, back to process. It's the game itself that is enjoyable. And if there is more, that's always nice. But actually, how much do you need and when are you gonna give it to yourself? You can start now.
I couldn't agree more. My philosophy when I was getting busy and starting really my coaching practice was to make sure that my yoga practice was always first. And so taking care of exercise and getting it done first thing in the morning usually was a good practice. If I couldn't get it done then I would take off an hour, hour and a half for lunch and do it. And now I've built a business that really, I mean, it's a practice for me. It wasn't about scaling and bringing a lot of other coaches underneath me. I tried that. It didn't work for me, but it's about having freedom of location. And so I think it's on December 6th. I'm going to head to the Caribbean. Maybe it's December 11th. I come back January 11th. I'll be in a French island in the Caribbean for 2.5 weeks. I'll be in the Mexican Riviera for a week, enjoying the sun. And you know what, Simon? I'll still be able to work because Wi-Fi is ubiquitous, even in places like that. It might not be as good. It's not going to be as high bandwidth. Maybe I won't be recording any podcasts because the quality of the Zoom and the video and the audio. But you can, a lot of people can do their work remotely, and especially in software. I have clients who are engineering doing remotely. I have clients who are in landscape construction doing, estimates and designs remotely. So it was an interesting article that came out in the medium.com just the other day. And it was in reference to Elon Musk saying, hey, you can work from home as much as you want. You just have to be in the office 40 hours a week. Because I'm here 100, 120. And then the article went on to talk about Tim Cook from Apple saying, and he was the most reasonable, I thought. He says, you need to be back in the office. I think it was Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Wednesdays and Fridays, you can work remote. Um, and then it was a few other high profile CEOs of companies talking about and basically sort of forcing people and telling people, hey, you need to come back to work. This is where the culture, this is where the challenge, this is where the goal setting is done. And, it caused me to pause and think and post on LinkedIn. This is what I think. This is from my bias. This is what works for me. I think every company is different, and just wondering if you have a comment and thought on, the work from home versus, work from the office, and in
You
your
know,
space and in your industry.
yeah, the teacher of my teacher was Peter Drucker.
Hmm.
And so who is from Vienna, Peter Drucker
Yeah,
originally.
right,
And he always said, can you guys stop measuring inputs? Nobody cares about inputs in management. I
right.
so just measure and improve the outputs. And so to translate it into this conversation is I don't
Yeah,
care when you work. I
right,
don't care where you work.
right.
The only thing that I care about is the quality and the speed of delivery is
Yep.
amazing for our clients.
Now that makes
You can
sense.
do that.
But and Drucker was a god among gods, right? We'll both agree. And I'd love to know who your teacher was. But inputs and outputs are like not really, they don't measure culture and connectivity. Um, and I understand, maybe people from these high profile companies, Apple, Twitter, I can't recall who else was in the article, but they want to focus on building a really strong culture and connectivity. They want you to be able to check the box on the Gallup Q12 question, which says, do you have a best friend at work? Um, they want, ideas being generated by people sitting around the water cooler, going out to lunch and talking about, hey, what if we did this or created that? And it's harder to do on a Slack channel. And people arguably might be more distracted working from home. I mean, I've been doing it for so many years. I'm much more productive. Windshield time is wasted time. Travel time is oftentimes wasted. But there's no substitute for getting in front of a team and being all together in a room. I mean, I think that's important. So, any further thoughts on what you were saying?
The product, yeah, the productivity is highest when people are happy.
Yes.
So what worked for a while was all this, okay, I give you here a barista, and then here there is free wine, and then here there is the football thing, and here are games, and here are couches. And here is the shop. You don't even need to do laundry. Like just stay here, right?
Sleep
And so
here,
yes,
live here.
live here. Yes, that increased productivity, of course. And so everybody emulating that, and they went like, oh, create a space where you have ideas, or yeah, it did work for a while. I would say the times they are changing. Yes, the principle is the same. Happy people are more productive. I think that's the same, but the definition of happiness is changing because people want to live like you, to have their happy place and a little bit of Wi-Fi. That's what people like, and it's less and less people that say my happy place is where I don't have to do laundry. Most people say I don't care about the free wine. My happy place is da 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 da,
Yeah,
and that's where I want to be. And I just need Wi-Fi, and I'm happy to deliver highest quality, and
yeah,
also in between to enjoy life.
yeah. Well, I know we're going to wrap up in a moment, but I have to say that when I left a company of 10 years, I was running an economic development firm. We did consulting, training, financing, and it was all about the relationships and being connected to people and being in front of them, whether it was our funding sources, our clients, customers, whatever you call them. And then I jumped into in 1999, I jumped into running an internet company that was basically also about connectivity. We were throwing events, we were streaming events, we had people coming together to network, and we were basically helping people to move out of the old economy and into the new economy and get these jobs. But the most striking thing, Simon, was that when I went to this office and we all sat in, that we was like 1,000 square feet, and there were like 10 of us, like squirreled away in different corners. We were bootstrapping this business, but everyone was so quiet. because they all sat on their computers and they were all like typing and doing stuff. I thought, this is so strange. I came from an office where everyone had their own office, like getting a private office, a window office was better. And now everyone's working in one big space and they're not really talking to each other. They're doing everything. And then if they wanted to message each other, they were literally using AOL Instant
They
Messenger.
are they
And they
are
were
talking
sitting
to each
together.
other on Slack.
Yeah.
They're writing each other on Slack.
It was just like, wow, this is so strange. And then you come to realize, like, if that's what you're doing, you don't need to be sitting in the same room with each other. It's nice if you want to say,
Exactly.
let's go out to lunch or something. But hey, this has been great. We didn't ever talk about EOS or scaling up, but it's no wonder that um, you've been either involved or exposed to those systems and you've created your own. It sounds fabulous. Guys, gals, both. Check it out. Check out his new book. Again, it's called Strategy. Where is it? Strategy
Sprints,
Sprints, 12
strategy
Ways to
sprints.
Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business. They can find that, I assume, on Amazon.
Yes, strategy sprints is on
Fantastic.
Amazon.
And if they want to contact you, they're not going to hop on a plane and just come to Vienna, Austria. What's the best way to reach you? Is it online, LinkedIn, website?
Strategysprints.com. Most of the tools that we use, they are open source. You can download them, just use them, enjoy them. And then if you want to talk to us, yeah, you click on strategysprints.com, you click at talk to us, and you jump on our calendar and we can talk.
It's great. You have 274 templates. You top all the coaching systems that I've ever been a part of. But I don't imagine all those are available for download online. But
I think like 35 of them are on the
perfect.
website available online. And
Perfect.
for the rest is for our clients. Yes.
All right, folks, check it out. Simon, it was great spending 45 minutes with you. And let's stay in contact. Folks, if you like this show, please share it with others. And of course, give us a 5-star rating on your podcast listening app of choice. And stay tuned for future episodes. Thanks a lot. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at thegoldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session. Thank you for joining us on the Disruptive Successor Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, review, and share with a friend who would benefit from the message. If you're interested in picking up a copy of my book, Disruptive Successor, go to disruptivesuccessor.com.